God of light, we give thanks to you for the ways that you let your light shine on us within your world. We thank you for the brightness and the beauty of a warm summer's day. We thank you for the ways that your love shines on us through the people that we meet. We thank you for all the ways that you bless us each and every day of our lives. And as we lift up our thanks to you for all of these things, and we also ask that you give us the strength and give us the courage to be grateful to you even in the days when things do not go exactly the way we want, and even on the days when the sun does not seem to shine quite as brightly. Lord, we ask that you fill us inside with trust in you. We ask that you help us to know that you are our shelter in the midst of whatever storms life gives to us. No matter what is going on within our lives, we ask that you help us to remember that our security is not in the resources that we have here. Our security is not in anything here within this world, but our true security is always in you. Let us rest calmly in your spirit each and every moment of our lives, within the glory and the goodness and the grace of your kingdom, for which Christ died and in which he was raised again. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Our Bible passage this morning comes from Psalm 127. It reads, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord guards the city, the guard keeps watch in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives sleep to his beloved. Sons are indeed a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the sons of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate." Let's make a few moments to reflect on this reading. Last Sunday, my mom and dad drove down to Cincinnati to my grandpa's house, to my mother's dad's house, in order to help him out with a few things around the house. And that house that they went to, that is the house that I always think of when I think of a home. And the reason for that, I think, is because that's the house that we went to back when I was a kid. And when I think of it, I don't think of it as Grandpa's house. I think of it as Grandma and Grandpa's house because my grandmother was still alive and living in it when we used to go there back when I was a kid for holidays and different things. And I remember very distinctly a lot of the features of that house. Now, I remember the round wooden table that sits in the dining room that my grandpa would sit at, and my uncles would join, and my aunts would join, and my cousin would join. Then we'd all sit around the table and we would argue vehemently about politics and religion and anything else that could come to mind at that table. And I remember branching off from the dining room, you went into the kitchen where there was a tile floor where my grandpa would sometimes come in and throw loose change on the floor, and then the cousins would all climb over top of each other and wrestle and kick and fight and scratch and collect as much change as we could. And I could still hear the change clanging on the floor. People come running in from every room to get into that kitchen and fight for the money. And you know, within that house, there was also an addition that was being put on. And it was a work in progress for many years because my grandpa was actually, you know, building this addition to the house. And so there was this addition that was a work in progress. You go down into the garage, and the garage always smelled like oil. It was filled with all manner of tools. My grandpa had his own junkyard in the far back part of his yard. It's just a little bit outside of Cincinnati. I'm sure that if he didn't own that house, he'd get grandfathered. There's no way he would get to have the kinds of things in that backyard that he has now. And also in the backyard, there's a swimming pool that's concrete that he laid the concrete for and did the work to build it. There's a basketball ring that he built. And inside the house, in the living room, there was this big, god-awful shag carpet that was just completely dreadful and that I absolutely loved. And the couches were this, you know, very old, very dark, you know, kind of color. And you know, that everything about that house looked and felt and smelled like my grandma and my grandpa. And that's the reason that it always reminds me of home. And the truth is, that house has long since been remodeled. A number of years ago, the shag carpet was taken out, and new carpet was put in, and new couches were bought. And you know, but I don't ever think of it that way. Even when I walk into it now, it doesn't seem right to me. You know, when I think of it, I still think of the home that they had when I was a kid. And now, I'm sure that for my wife, Mary Ellen, when she thinks of home, one of the places she thinks of is the house that she grew up in. And that home, which is where her parents live now, was actually built by her father. And it's about 2 miles, it's within 2 miles of where he was born, and he's never lived anywhere but within that 2-mile radius. And so he built this house from the ground up. And it has a pool outside. It has all kinds of places set up, sheds and garage with woodworking things. He's a very good wood. He's actually the one who made this pulpit and his woodworking goes. And it has several acres that are on the land. And when you go inside that home, you know, on the first floor when you walk in, it's just a nice house. It has a dining room, it has a kitchen, it has a living room, and it looks like a normal house that you would walk into. When you go upstairs, there are a lot of things preserved from when Mary Ellen and her brothers were kids. There's still some of the same stuffed animals and some of the same, dolls and things in the different rooms from when they were a kid. And when you go downstairs, you get to the place that it's kind of a grandchild's paradise. When you go down into the basement, they actually have an indoor swing hanging from one of the beams. That they've got a pool table, and they have all kinds of toys and desks and things that the kids go in and play at. So when the kids go there, they always want to go straight downstairs to start playing in that space. And that's not even to mention what you find when you go outside. When you go outside in the yard, her dad built a tree house. It's just a tree house that goes up. He built a working train. It's a Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's actually made out of different scrap pieces, and it moves. It has a motor and everything. It actually goes around on a track in the yard, and there are swings. There's a zip line that goes to. That goes for different age levels. There's one that little kids can go on, one that medium-sized kids can go on, and one that adults can go on when they go out to the house. And so it's a great place for kids to go, and that's where we hosted the rehearsal dinner. And before the wedding was at this house, and the kids could just all go outside and play. And you go from there, and you come into our home, the home that I live in and that she lives in now, and for that home, there's a pretty normal level when you walk in on the first level, living room, dining room, all those kinds of normal things. And there's a lot of photos. I like to have photos up and put places and people and all that kind of stuff. And so you have a lot of pictures on the walls. And then you go into the bedrooms, and each bedroom has its own distinct feel. My youngest daughter, Lily, who is 5 years old. Her bedroom is still pink and, has flowers and purple and, these kinds of colors in there. My middle daughter, who is 10 years old, has grown out of the pink, and so her bedroom is kind of a more, it looks like justice kinds of things, it's blue and it has things like that. And it also has a map on it that's got pins in the 37 states that she's been in. And my son, who's 13, has moved into a room now that, it's more grown up and has darker colors on the walls. And, he does have a map, though, that has the spots, the states that he's been in as well. And so they all have their own unique rooms. And then in the basement, though, in the general area, we keep the games for the kids to play with. So that, you get some common themes going from one generation to the next. In the basement, you can find all the Nerf guns, and you can find the ping pong table and the video games and all of that sort of thing. And when you think about it, you can tell a lot about a person by the home that they live in, right? The homes that we live in are a place that we have the opportunity to fashion after our own heart. They get to reflect our interests. They get to reflect our pastimes. They get to reflect our fascinations when we shape our homes. And even though my home might not make any sense to anybody else on the planet, my home is one of my favorite places in the world.